Hello YouTube, and welcome to this special video where I'm going to be telling you which fights I want to see in Battlebots 2019 most. That's right, Battlebots is coming back for another season on Discovery, and long may it last. Because in 2018 we had some awesome fights and some awesome moments too, like when Bite Force gutted Hypershock and Red Devil's track continued to move even after it was ripped off by Valkyrie, and when Huge just split in half. There's not much more to say about that. This was thanks to its fight card system, a new feature introduced for the 2018 season. It hadn't happened before in any other BattleBots seasons to this point, so it was really interesting because you could essentially have whatever you wanted. If the producers wanted to put Minotaur in a demonstration fight against Sub-Zero, then they could do that, and they did. It was quite clear it was a demonstration fight. And we also had some other fantastic matchups, as we can see here. For example, Free Shipping versus Warhawk. That's not a fight that you're going to be forgetting anytime soon. It also gave us a chance to meet the teams, like Jack Tweedy from Team Vanquish, and Tim and Tom from Monsoon. But here is my fifth most anticipated fight. So number 5. Cobalt 2.0 versus Petunia. I think this would be interesting because Petunia hasn't really fought too many horizontal spinners. It fought Rotator. But Rotator's more of a disc and it wouldn't get any big meaty hits on a wedge like that, because a wedge like that is specifically designed to take on horizontal spinners. You can see that. And Cobalt, if you've never seen Robot Wars, then you've never seen Carbide. And if you've never seen Carbide, then take a look at Carbide. It's basically the same as Cobalt. And let me tell you, that is not a bad thing. Carbide came second, first and second in 3 consecutive Robot Wars seasons. It caused so much attraction with its bar spinner. The same couldn't be said for Cobalt in the 2016 season. It had this fight with Overhaul. It just got pushed around and deflected off the wedge. Nothing much really happened. I think they also had a fight with Bombshell, where Bombshell literally ripped Cobalt's wheels out, and it didn't go too well for them. It has an asymmetrical spinner, but if Petunia were to, because it's quite well driven Petunia, if it were to stop the bar spinner, drive Cobalt and just position it, then it could chomp down on that exposed drive chain. Again, this is not the new Cobalt, this is the 2016 Cobalt. I can't find any pictures for the new Cobalt. So assuming that it's the same design, that's what I'd like to see Petunia do. Number 4. Lucky versus Unicorn. I'm assuming it's called Unicorn. If it's not called Unicorn, I'm very sorry. I can't find a name for it on Facebook, where I got that picture from. And Lucky. Lucky is Lucky. We'll talk about that later. As for Unicorn, oh my god, if this picture is to be believed, then damn, that thing has some power. It's literally chucking the robot through the air. And judging by its design, it looks pretty reliable and a pretty balanced machine, like Carbide or Cobalt. It looks literally the same as Cobalt. Although I am interested to see what Mattel has to say about those designs on its top armour. Lucky, on the other hand, Lucky is just not lucky in any sense of the word. It's had some really, really unlucky draws like Beta and Yeti and Son of Waiachi. However, we have seen that it can work. It did this, well, it proved this, by beating Gigabyte. A very, very powerful full-body spinner, and it threw it through the air because it managed to deflect it around with its wedge. And if it used this wedge against Unicorn, then it probably would be able to flip it over. I would like to point out that Lucky is related to Ziggy, another team from another robot from CM Robotics. That is a super heavyweight robot right there. That's like 7-8 feet in the air. Anyway, I know Lucky hasn't really proved itself in Battlebots, and I just really want to see it prove itself against a working, capable robot. And I think a Unicorn would be the perfect robot for that, since It has a spinner, which Lucky can deflect with its wedge, and it has ground clearance, quite a high ground clearance, I might add. Anyway, I built a Lucky tutorial for my channel, so go and watch that if you have time. So I just want to see Lucky beat a capable machine in dramatic fashion. I want to see it getting Bronco levels of height with that flipper, because we know it can. We've seen it do it against Gigabyte and Gemini, and that would just be awesome to see such an experienced team go through like that. Number 3, Tombstone versus free shipping. Now, free shipping isn't exactly the first machine that people think of when it comes to destructive. If you mention the word flame or burn, then it will be the first thing that springs to mind, because we know that it can light bots on fire, it can keep on working after taking a huge amount of damage. This is because it's driven by Gary Jin, and it was also the it's quite obviously the relative of Original Sin. We know it can beat robots because it flipped Hypershock over and torched it until the battle ended. We also know it's how Amazon delivers its parcels these days. Yes. And Tombstone, on the other hand, probably the most hyped up robot of the Battlebots reboot. And for good reason too, it is really destructive. This picture doesn't show it, but it absolutely ruined Whiplash, and Whiplash was never really the same after that fight. And people were a little bit salty when it got knocked out by Bombshell. I would like to point out that this Bombshell was quite clearly built to destroy Tombstone. Look at it, it has everything that Tombstone fears. It's a wedge, it's a vertical spinner, and if Tombstone is the same design, I'm assuming it is because Ray Billings posted a photo of the frame on Facebook, and it looks pretty much the same. So it would be interesting, because free shipping is a really reliable machine, not known for breaking down, and it's driven by Gary Jin on the right here. He's quite an experienced robot builder. He fought with the Big B in Battlebot Season 4. Don't know if you've heard of it. He reached the finals with that. He's won countless competitions with Original Sin. So many. And Original Sin is just... It doesn't have an active weapon. It's just a wedge. And he's driven it to absolutely so many finals and trophies. And Ray Billings, he's not known for his driving skills. He's more known for building robots that absolutely tear the arenas down. Like, I'm talking Last Rites, Tombstone, the Mortician, machines like that. So that would be very interesting to watch. 2 Battlebots veterans going head to head. Number 2. Bronco versus Byteforce. This would be interesting because a few other YouTubers have mentioned that Bronco hasn't really proved itself when it needs to. It's gotten some great flips against robots that can't really combat Bronco's design, like Sawblaze and Duck, as we can see here, and Ducks can fly also. So as we're looking at its fight record here, with the exception of its Warhawk match, any time it faces a big spinner, it seems to die. Interestingly, these 3 robots are all robots that Byteforce has faced and won against. So that's just a little bit of trivia there. There we can see Byteforce again with its forks raised. This is its 2016 configuration against Tombstone. I don't think it still has that configuration with its spinner. Definitely wouldn't work against Bronco. Anyway, we know Byteforce is very reliable and it's very destructive with its spinner. It's obviously going into the 29 season as the defending champion. However, those wedgelets at the front might stop the spinner from coming into play against Bronco. And it'll be interesting because Byteforce has a few issues self-righting. Sort of runs into the wall and hopes that the spinner self-rights it. And with Bronco, going near the wall isn't really great for you, as Bombshell and Duck have all found out. And the fight I am most looking forward to for Battlebots 2019, Gigabyte versus Minotaur. Gigabyte versus Minotaur. How much I wanted to see this in the 2018 season. I'm assuming that both teams are coming back. I think I read somewhere that Gigabyte is definitely coming back, and it wouldn't make sense if Minotaur didn't. So, Robotic Death Company and Riobots, they're such big names in the sport. Very influential, you might say. Their robot designs have certainly changed the course of robot combat history, and they've built countless robots between them. Although, we do know that Minotaur can get chucked about quite easily if it faces a horizontal spinner like Tombstone here. This is because it's quite small. Although it's quite small and it's quite dense, it's pretty reliable. Doesn't often break down. Gigabyte, however, is sort of the opposite of that. Gigabyte tends to go into the arena walls and break down a lot. Here's Minotaur getting flipped again. Gigabyte, they also, last time, they ordered their parts from a website which wasn't genuine. So Tombstone was able to completely cut the top shell from the base and send it flying across the arena. So if that happens again against Minotaur, then they're just going to get absolutely destroyed. And I don't think Riobots is going to hold back like Ray Billings, because if you've seen Daniel Freitas, then oh my god, he would just literally tear apart Gigabyte and there'd be no evidence left of it. So that would be a very interesting fight. However, we do know that Gigabyte is unbelievably powerful. It chucks itself around, it tears the arena up. You can ask Double Dutch about this if you're not sure. It destroyed that thing in the Desperado tournament. And I don't even need to tell you how destructive Minotaur can be when it needs to be. So thank you very much for watching and listening to my opinions. I hope you've got some of your own, because I hope you're all watching the 2019 season of Battlebots. It's really the only season of Robot Combat that's on TV nowadays. So it's great to have it back, and all of the builders. It was really fun last season. Thank you very much for watching. You can put your preferences down below. Also hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you very much.